तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन व्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय विश्वगुरु शील प्रभुपदा विश्वगुरु शील प्रभुपदा जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद इस डिवाइन ग्रेस विश्वगुरु ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद इस डिवाइन ग्रेस शील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्भागवतम की जय। श्री श्री कृष्ण रुक्मिणी सत्यभामा की जय। श्री श्री गौरनेताय की जय। विश्वगुरु शील प्रभुपाद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 26, Verse number 51. ततः तेन अनुविद्धेभ्यः ततस्तेनानुविद्धेभ्यो युक्तेभ्यः Andam Achetanam Yuktebhyondam Achetanam Yuktebhyondam Achetanam Uttitam Purushaha Yasmat Uttitam Purusho Yasmat Uttitam Purusho Yasmat Udatishtat Asau Virat Udatishtat Asau Virat Udatishtat Asau Virat Tatastena Yuktebhyo Andam Achetanam Uttitam Purusho Yasmat Udatishtat Asau Virat Tatastena Yuktebhyo Andam Achetanam Uttitam Purusho Yasmat Udatishtat Asau Virat
Tatastena nuvidyebhyo yuktebhyo andamachetanam uttitam purusho yasmat udatishtad asau virat.
Tatastena nuvidyebhyo uktebhyo andamachetanam uttitam purusho yasmat udatishtad asau virat.
ततस्तेनानु विद्येभ्यो युक्तेभ्यो अंडमचेतनम् उत्थितं पुरुषो यस्मात् उदतिष्ठादसो विराट्.
Tataha, then, Tena, by the Lord, Anuvidhebhyaha, from these 7 principles, aroused into activity, Yuktebhyaha, united, Andam, an egg, Achetanam, unintelligent, Uttitam, arose, Purushaha, cosmic being, Yasmat, from which Udatishthad appeared, Asau, that, Virat, celebrated. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. From these 7 principles, roused into activity and united by the presence of the Lord, an unintelligent egg arose, from which appeared the celebrated cosmic being. Kindly repeat, from these 7 principles, roused into activity and united by the presence of the Lord, an unintelligent egg arose, from which appeared the celebrated cosmic being. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In sex life, the combination of matter from the parents, which involves emulsification and secretion, creates a situation whereby a soul is received within matter, and the combination of matter gradually develops into a complete body. The same principle exists in the universal creation. The ingredients were present, but only when the Lord entered into the material elements was matter actually agitated. That is the cause of creation. We can see this in our ordinary experience. Although we may have clay, water, and fire, the elements take the shape of a brick only when we labor to combine them. Without the living energy, there is no possibility that matter can take shape. Similarly, this material world does not develop unless agitated by the Supreme Lord as the Virat Purusha. Yasmad Udatishtad Asau Virat. By his agitation, space was created, and the universal form of the Lord also manifested therein. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Jnanatimrandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mokam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. One Nobel laureate has given an interesting logic to explain how we can understand that there must be some intelligence behind this creation. When we speak of this material world, it is a creation. We all understand that. And scientists also accept it was created at a certain point of time. It is not eternal. It is not existing eternally. Some point of time it has come into existence, therefore it's a creation. Now what time it came into creation, what caused it creation, that there may be differences of opinion. Scientists will tell one thing. According to Vedic understanding, there is another understanding, there is another explanation of the timelines involved, the process, etc. But everybody accepts whether it is, and of course, according to different religions, if you go to Abrahamic religions, they have their own explanation, Adam and Eve and all that. And Vedic explanation, more detailed way, timing, timelines, when, who, etc. All those details are given. So, but then all those detailed, in those details there may be some differences, but everyone accepts that this material world is a creation. Now, some scientists, they put forth the theory that the process of creation is that there was a big bang, so many millions, billions of years, whatever timeline is involved, according to their calculations. That time there was nothing in existence, suddenly there was a big bang, and then all the matter came into existence, blah, 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 all those things. Now, not all scientists are they subscribe to this theory that out of nothing, suddenly, by chance, this whole material creation came into existence. Of course, they may not, the scientists who are not subscribing to the theory that there is that this creation happened by chance, may not, they may agree that yes, the Big Bang happened and by that only creation happened. But the scientists have different logic and arguments to say that although Big Bang may have happened and that caused the creation to happen, it could not have happened on its own, by chance. Similarly, I mean, just like that, it so happened that suddenly there was a bang. No. So, some scientists, they say, they give rise to the theory called intelligent design. This one scientist, he is a Nobel laureate, he has said how, for example, if we take any building, let us say this building we are seeing, this temple, beautiful temple, there is walls, there is a ceiling, there are beautiful architectural elements involved, windows, doors, all these things, right? It's painted with different colors, all these things. Now, if somebody comes and sees this, and he asks, who built this? And if we say, no, there was some brick lying there, there was some cement lying there, and there was some water lying somewhere else, suddenly there was an explosion, and by chance all of this came together. Will anybody believe? Nobody will believe it. Why? Because the point is that although different ingredients may be available, for them to come together and form into something meaningful requires some intelligence. The probability of the ingredients getting together and forming something meaningful, purposeful is practically zero. So, a priori, for anything to come into existence, if the probability is zero, but still that event has happened, that means there must be some intelligent person who must have caused it to happen. Just like this building, what is the probability? Let's speak in terms of science and mathematics. What is the probability that all the ingredients, bricks, sand, cement, all these things were lying there? And automatically something happened, some explosion, something happened, because of which they got together and it became assembled in this fashion. What is the probability? Probability is zero, isn't it? Probability is zero. But still it has happened. That means that itself is an indication some intelligent person has caused the ingredients to come together and form into and take the shape and form that we see today. So, a priori, if the probability of an event happening is zero, but still it has happened, that means some intelligence is there which has caused it to happen. So, the scientist goes on to explain that similarly, if you see the probability, what is the probability that this explosion happened and all the ingredients came together and formed planets, and they formed the earth, and in the earth all the ingredients came together to form exactly the conditions that were required to sustain life, and life actually evolved. What is the probability? Probability is zero. But still it has happened. We are all existing. Life is existing on the earth. All the conditions, whatever are required, are fulfilled. Isn't it? For example, if you take an atom, the atom is composed of protons, neutrons, electrons. And if you look at the protons and the electrons, their masses are vastly different. Electrons are very, very light in comparison to the protons. Protons are much heavier. But if you see their charge, the protons have a positive charge and the electrons have an exactly equal negative charge. Exactly equal charge. If that charge, the positive and negative charge between the proton and electron had been slightly different, then what would have happened? Atom could never have come into existence. This whole universe could not have existed. Impossible. But still it has happened. Suppose the mass of the proton and the electron were equal, then what would have happened? Again, the electron would not be revolving around the nucleus, and then what would have happened? Everything would have collapsed. You would not have had the universe. But you see, exactly the electron is that much lighter than the proton, by which it can keep revolving around the nucleus. So, what is the probability that these conditions could have been met on its own, by chance, for the atom to form and to be stable? Probability is zero. But still it has happened. Therefore, the scientist concludes, there must have been an intelligence behind this creation. So, you see, the point, of course, is that we don't limit it to that it's just an intelligence. Intelligence always belongs to some person. Like, you take the scientist example itself of a building, of all the building ingredients coming together and taking the shape of a house or a room or any type of building. So there, that intelligence that is there which causes the ingredients to come together and form a building is not an impersonal intelligence. It is some architect is there who has put his intelligence into the different types of sizes, shapes, openings, and all these kind of things for the building to take shape. So intelligence also always belongs to a person. So now, until a person gets involved in the construction of the building, all the ingredients may be lying there, but it will never become a building. It takes an intelligent person to use his intelligence and bring the ingredients together to form, to take different forms and shapes that we see which become useful for us for different purposes. So similarly, this material universe also, whatever we see around us, has come into existence in a manner which supports life. And the probability of such an event happening on its own is zero. That means there must be an intelligence behind this. And intelligence means there must be a person also behind this. And Prabhupada is using this example by saying that we can see in our ordinary experience, although we may have water and fire, the elements take the shape of a brick only when we labor to combine them. Without the living energy, there is no possibility that matter can take shape. So, at the beginning of the creation, until now, we have already seen how the sarga has happened. That is, the creation of the ingredients required to bring about this cosmic manifestation has already happened. Kapiladeva has explained all that. How the different sense objects, they give rise to the senses, and then the different 5 panchabhutas, elements, etc. Right? So now, he is explaining the secondary creation, how it is going to happen, how the effects are going to be created. Until now, the causes have been explained. Now, the effects are being explained. Now, for the causes also, everywhere, he was saying, Bhagavat Choditaha. Without the personal intervention of the Supreme Lord, without a living person causing those activities to happen, the ingredients necessary for creation could not have come into existence. In the material world, of course, scientists, they have a different analysis of the material creation. What are the ingredients for creation? They will tell atoms, there are amino acids required, there are proteins required, there are cells required, blah, blah, blah. So many things they say. But when it comes to the Bhagavatam, Kapiladeva, Sankhya Yoga, Sankhya philosophy, what are the ingredients needed for the creation? Senses are required, the objects of the senses are required, and the elements, the material elements are also required. What are the objects of the senses? Touch, form, taste, smell, sound. These are the 5 objects of the senses. Associated with them, there are 5 senses. The sense of touch, the sense of taste, the sense of smell, the sense of sound, etc. Right? So there are 5 objects of the senses which are subtle. Tanmatra, they are subtle. So, for example, form itself. The concept of form is very subtle. You may be able to see different forms. Human beings, animals, trees, birds, land, water, etc. We are able to see all these forms. But the concept of form itself is a very subtle thing. Similarly, the concept of sound. So therefore, the sense objects, form, taste, touch, sound, smell, these are very subtle elements. They are tanmatras. They give rise to little more gross objects of they give rise to the different senses which actually can perceive the objects of the senses. Eyes, the sense of sight, can perceive forms. The sense of sound, the ears, can perceive sound itself, like that. So the senses are a little more gross than the objects of the senses. And then there are the different objects of the senses, and then these give rise to the 5 panchabhutas, mahabhutas. What are those? Earth, water, fire, air, and ether, which will house different objects of the senses. The earth has got all the 5 objects of the senses included in it. Taste, sound, touch, smell, everything is there in the earth. Shri Krishna, Rukmini, Satyabhama ki jai. Water does not have smell. It has all the other 4 elements. Fire has only 2 elements, sound and form. And then we have space or ether, which has only sound in it. So like this, each of the Pancha Mahabhutas, each of the 5 elements are the grossest manifestation. So there are objects of the senses which give rise to the senses of perception, and the senses give rise to the different Pancha Mahabhutas. This is the way it is, the whole creation has happened. Now these form the ingredients. These form the ingredients which are required for the manifestation to happen. You see the different perspective that the Vedas are giving. One perspective given by science is we need atoms, we need amino acids, we need proteins, etc. But fact is, all of these proteins, amino acids, and all your proton, electron, atoms, etc., molecules, elements, whatever they are, all of them you can have. But does any of them have any of the 5 senses or the 5 sense objects present in them? So when you look at it from that perspective, the Bhagavatam, the analysis that the Bhagavatam is giving is a more fundamental requirement for the creation to happen. If you have all the ingredients but you don't have the objects of the senses, then what is the use of having all the ingredients? So, unless the objects of the senses are there and the senses themselves are there, then until this is there, a living entity, even if he present, he cannot be able to perceive the world. Our perception of the world happens how? Through the combination of the senses and the sense objects, right? And it's not directly the sense objects, but the combination of the Pancha Mahabhutas which incorporate the different objects of the senses. You take a lump of clay and form it into a nice, different, you have a nice figurine. Some sculptor sits and works on it. Once it takes a form, you can look at it and appreciate it. So the earth, fire, air, ether, he has combined and given a different form to it, which you are able to perceive. So you need the Pancha Mahabhutas, the combination of the Pancha Mahabhutas, to invested with the different objects of the senses, to be able to perceive with your senses that particular form, taste, sound, smell, etc. So you see, if the objects of the senses are not there, or if the senses are not there, will we be able to, even though we may be there, and even though all the elements may be there, all the atoms, protons, electrons, all the amino acids, everything is there, will we be able to perceive anything? We cannot perceive anything. So where do these senses come from, and where do these objects of the senses come from? Where do the tanmatras come from, and where do the different senses come from? Indriyas, where do they come from? That science has no explanation. They only talk about different atoms, different elements, different molecules, etc., all these kind of things. But where are the perceptive senses and the perceptible objects of the senses? Where are they coming from? They have no explanation for that. So for them to come into existence, for that Bhagavat Choditaha, behind that there has to be an intelligent Supreme Lord, the Creator, who actually caused the creation to happen. So, once the Pancha Mahabhutas and the Tanmatras and the Indriyas have all been created, still they have all been created. First, there was just the sum total of matter, Mahatattva. It was just a lump of matter, that's all. No differentiation. But Bhagavat Choditaha, by the intervention of the Supreme Lord, that lump of matter got agitated and different senses, sense objects, all these different things have come into existence. As today's verse is saying, that those 7 principles, what are those 7 principles, have been explained already in the previous verse. Prabhupada has explained. The 7 primary elements. What are those? The 5 material elements, the total energy Mahatattva, and the false ego. These 7 things have already been created, but it's still not enough. Although Mahatattva has been created, the 5 material elements have been created, and the false ego has also been created. Still, it is not enough for this manifestation to come into existence. Further, next, even after that also the Lord's intervention has to continue. As it is being explained, Tatas Tenanu Middebhyo yuktebhyo andam achetanam uttitam purusho yasmad. Purusha, the Supreme Lord, has to enter within this Mahatattva along with the other 6 principles which have been created. He has to enter into it and agitate it. Then only further secondary creation will happen. Now all these elements will combine, and what will happen? Different forms, different features of this material universe will come into existence. Planets will come into existence, living entities will come into existence, the oceans, the mountains, the different forms of animals, human beings, plants, trees, all these things, for them to happen also, still the Lord has to continue His intervention. So you see, at every step, at every stage, the Lord's involvement is essential. Without that, this cosmic manifestation cannot come into existence. Every step, the Lord has to be personally involved. Personally involved means He does not have to personally go and sit and tinker with it. By His will, by His personal will, simply by His desiring, the whole thing starts moving. Without His involvement, without His agitating the different material elements with His will, material creation cannot happen. So, and this principle you can see pervades the entire creation wherever you go. Prabhupada is giving the example. In sex life, the combination of matter from the parents, which involves emulsification and secretion, creates the situation whereby a soul is received within matter, and the combination of matter gradually develops into a complete body. So you can see even this principle that a living person has to be involved for matter to grow and to manifest different aspects of its existence, like form, etc. For that, a living person is essential. Without a living person, nothing works. Everything, the whole, the jada vastu, the matter is dead. It has no ability to become active on its own. So even for a human being to take birth also, living entity, the Atma has to enter. And once the Atma enters, then what happens is the body starts developing within the womb of the mother, and finally the child comes out of the womb of the mother as a living person, living active person. Why? Because the jiva has entered that body. And when the jiva leaves the body, the same body becomes a dead body, and it has to be immediately consigned to the flames, or it has to be buried, or whatever. You cannot keep it. As long as the person is alive, as long as the living entity is within the body is very valuable. It is very precious. You have the different governments, you have different laws, that how human beings should not be harmed by others, isn't it? But then once a person is dead, after that what? You take the body and throw into the fire. Living person you take and throw into the fire, what will happen? Police will come, judiciary will come, media will undertake a media trial, social media, all videos will be put. Look at this, what these people have done. So you see, dead bodies, every day, millions of dead bodies are getting burnt. Nobody talks, nobody bothers about it. But if a living person is put, immediately people will talk about it. So, what makes that, what is the difference? What makes that dead body valuable in one case? So much so that even one living person is burnt alive, everybody will make a big furor about it. And even law will step in to prevent such an activity. But once the person is dead, nobody is bothered. Why? Why this difference? Because the living entity has entered the body. So this principle is there everywhere in the material world. Even if you take institutions also, for an institution also to grow and to take shape and to act in the material world, there are living entities required behind it. And you see, the principle, it's such a wonderful principle. This whole creation to happen, you don't need many, many living entities. One living entity, the Supreme Lord, Purusha, Uttitam Purusho Yasmat, one person entered, and this whole material manifestation that we see has taken shape. Such a beautiful way. The sun, the moon, the earth, so many things. Similarly, for a person to take birth also, one living entity, one primary living entity is required within the body. That Purusha, he entered within this earth, or rather entered within this Anda, within this universe, it has become habitable for so many innumerable living entities. Human beings, animals, plants, trees, aquatics, so many, right? We are all able to live here in this universe because of the Purusha having entered this. Similarly, within this body also, one living entity, primary living entity has entered. Because of that, within the body, so many germs are existing, so many bacteria are existing, so many blood corpuscles, so many cells, all living entities. They are all depending on the single primary living entity. Just like you take a tree, the tree, main tree is there. Okay, that is one living entity. But within the tree, there are so many insects, there are so many birds, there are so many ants. So all these multiple living entities are subsisting on that one primary living entity. And if that tree dies, what will happen? Everything will dry up, the birds will leave and go. All the secondary living entities will leave and go. So similarly, this material cosmic manifestation is existing because of one primary living entity on which all other secondary living entities are subsisting. Similarly, in institutions also, if you take ISKCON, our institution, the primary living entity on whom our institution is dependent is Srila Prabhupada. Without Prabhupada, could this institution have come into existence? Not possible. So Prabhupada created the institution, but it's not that he has created it and left and gone. No. Suppose the Virat Purusha entered the universe, created it, and then he left. What would have happened? It would have collapsed. We would not have been able to exist here. He continues to be within the universe. Therefore, this universe continues to exist, and we are all able to live in that. Similarly, in this institution also, ISKCON also, Prabhupada entered, Prabhupada created, and Prabhupada is continuing to live in this institution. Therefore, this institution is running. If we divorce Prabhupada from this institution, saying that Prabhupada is no more, therefore we can change his books, we can change the form of deity worship, we can change the system of initiations, we can change everything that Prabhupada gave, because Prabhupada is no more there. What will happen? The institution will die. Because the institution of ISKCON is surviving on Prabhupada. Without Prabhupada, this institution could not have come into existence, and without Prabhupada's personal presence, this institution cannot survive also. Therefore, it becomes essential to preserve everything that Prabhupada has given. Because Prabhupada is living within this institution even today through his instructions, through the system of how this institution has to be run, which Prabhupada has put in place. The system of deity worship, the system of initiations, the system of spreading the message, the system of building temples, everything, whatever the system of deity worship, everything that Prabhupada has given, that has to be preserved as it is. Then this institution will grow and it will multiply and it will prosper. If we take Prabhupada out of the system, then it's finished. It will decay. It will decay and it will be finished over a period of time. Which is what happens with every spiritual institution. If the original Acharya's teachings are preserved, that spiritual institution will thrive. But if the Acharya's teachings are changed, then there is no hope. So therefore, that principle is acting throughout this whole cosmic manifestation. It is acting even in our institution also. So therefore, we have to respect that principle, because that principle is an inviolable principle. It is a principle created by the Supreme Lord himself, that without a living entity's presence, nothing can grow, nothing can survive. Whether it is the human body, whether it is the universe, whether it is the atom, andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham. Even within the atom, the Lord has to personally enter as Paramatma. Otherwise, the atom, the electron will not move around the proton and nucleus. It will simply lie dead, that's all. So, you see, for existence, for sustenance, for activity, the presence of a person, that primary person is so important. And the primary person, even in our institution, is Srila Prabhupada. If that primary person is there, then all of us, millions of people, living entities, can come and take shelter and progress spiritually and go back to Godhead. Therefore, it is essential to preserve what Prabhupada has given us, what Prabhupada has instituted, and we have to retain it as it is. then this institution will grow and millions of living entities will be able to come and take shelter of this institution, and they will be able to subsist, they will be able to exist on this institution. Otherwise, it will become incapable of supporting the lives of other individuals. And this institution has to go on for another 10,000 years. That is possible if Prabhupada remains at the helm. And how do we keep Prabhupada at the helm of ISKCON? By not changing anything he has given. Whether it is his books, whether it is the philosophy, whether it is the system of deity worship, whether it is the system of initiations, all these things have to be retained as it is. Then Prabhupada's presence will ensure that this institution will prosper. Just like this body, for this body also to remain active and vibrant, soul has to be within this. If the soul is taken out, this body will immediately start rotting. It will start stinking. It will become food for insects. It has to be immediately consigned to flames. Similar thing with the institution also. So therefore, that's the importance of recognizing the primary living entity which is behind any creation. And therefore, this Kapila Deva wants to establish that this universe has not come about by chance. It is existing, it has come into existence, and it is continuing to exist. It is not that the Lord has created it and left it and gone. He is there, present, and therefore, we are all able to live here and take advantage of this universe, and we are all able to practice spiritual life and go back to God and get out of the cycle of birth, death, disease, and old age. Why? Because the Supreme Lord, the Purusha, is even today present within this material universe. If he chooses to leave this universe, finished. We will all have to exit. We cannot live here. So this is the wonderful compassion of the Supreme Lord, that he has chosen to be here so that we all get an opportunity to get a human form of life and to perfect this and go back to Godhead. I'll stop here. If anybody has any question or comment, we can discuss. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So I understand that from your class that senses arose from the sense objects. And also you mentioned senses are superior to Panchabhutas, earth,
Yes.
water. So, but we see senses are made up of the senses also material elements. They are not subtle, or they are not spiritual also.
Yeah.
And how to understand that senses are superior even though they manifest from the material elements.
Indriyebhyaha param manaha. What is that? First sentence of that verse. Indriyani paranyahur. Indriyani paranyahur. Indriyebhyaha panam manaha. Manasastu para buddhe. Buddhestu paraha saha. Right? So, Indriyani paranyahur. The senses are supposed to be, are said to be superior
To this body.
to the material elements. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, etc. But then, the senses, like you look at the eyes, ears, nose, they are made up of the material elements, right? So how can something which is made up of the material elements be superior to the material elements itself? Is that the question? Okay. I think that has already been answered by Satyagaur Prabhu in his last class. He mentioned that the senses are different from the, how do I put it? The senses are different from the sense organs. The sense organs, what you are referring to, eyes, ears, nose, they are made up of the material elements. But if you take, for example, the sense organ of the eye, I might have an eye, but suppose the sense of sight is not there, the eyes are useless. If you take the eye also, is the eyes actually seeing form? No. The eye is just what? It is a lens through which the light falls and then it gets concentrated on the retina. So is the retina or the iris or the eyeball sensing that form? No, it is only a medium to capture what is there in the outside world. whatever form you are seeing. Perception of that form, that sense of a form, oh, this is the form of a man, this is the form of a woman, this is the form of a tree, this is the form of an ocean, this is the form of a building. That sense is not within the eye. That is why you will see some people gradually, as they grow old, they will lose the sense of sight. And in the old days, they will become blind. Or we develop short sight, we develop long sight, right? You are wearing spectacles, so you know very well. So why you have to wear specs? Because the eye is not performing it's not being efficient in its performance of its activity. You are not able to see objects which are a little far away, which normally the eye should have been able to do. So the eyes are not performing their function properly. So you have to have an external object like the specs to be able to see properly, right? Now with the specs, you are able to read properly. Oh, without the specs, it's all blurred. Now when I wear the specs, I'm able to read properly. So does that mean that the specs is seeing? Specs is not seeing, no. Similarly, the eyes are also not seeing. The sense of sight is there within you, therefore you are able to see. And Krishna forbid, in old age, if you lose the sense of sight, eyes will still be there, iris will be there, retina will be there. Modern science will tell, no, the nerves have got damaged, this, that, and all those explanations they will give. That means the sense of sight is not in the sense organ of the eye. The sense of sight is somewhere else. So the senses are different from the sense organs. The sense organs are only a medium for that sense to actually act and to perceive the relevant sense object. Similarly, for example, there was one engineer who was working in Vrindavan Chandrodaya Mandir. He was a senior engineer. He was taking care of the whole project, construction and all that. At that time, we were doing all the piling. And one day he had to go to Delhi to meet some consultants. So, temple car, he got into the temple car and left in the morning 6 a.m. or something like that. He left. Then around 8 a.m. I got a call that his car has met with an accident and he is in the hospital. So immediately I rushed to the hospital. It was about 1.5 hours from Vrindavan. Went and met him in the hospital. He was all, there was a lot of impact on the head. And what had happened, there was some truck which was parked and somehow something happened. The driver went and banged into it. And because of that, the whole roof of the car had come and hit his head. So his cheekbones were all fractured because the cheekbones are very soft. They are the softest bones within the body. That's what I understood. So cheekbones were all fractured and whole impact was on the face. Nose everywhere, a lot of stitches and all that. Eventually he recovered. After a few months, he recovered. And then he started again coming for this one, to the office. So when he returned back from his accident and he had recovered, and first day he came to the office, I said, how are you? How are any side effects? You are feeling any discomfort or anything? He said, no, I'm practically all right. Somehow, by the Lord's arrangement, there was no impact to the eyes, so eyes are not affected. Everything is fine. Only I have lost the sense of smell. So you see, nose is there. Sense of smell is not there. So the organ and the sense, both are different. Similarly, those who got COVID during that time, common complaint used to be what? Lost the sense of smell, lost the sense of taste. Tongue is still there, nose is still there, but sense of smell, sense of taste is not there. That means that sense is different from the sense organ. So therefore, that sense is higher than the material elements. Indriyani paranyahur. That's how we understand that the senses are superior to the material elements. Is that okay?
Means senses are antimatter, Prabhu?
Sorry?
Senses are antimatter? Or?
No, it's not antimatter. It is subtle. It is also matter only. But it's subtle matter. It's subtler than earth, water, fire, air, ether.
But they are situated in sense organs?
They act through the sense organs. For the sense of smell to act, you need a nose.
Correct.
The nose becomes the instrument. Like for example, you have a computer. Now for you to interact with the computer, the screen is required and you need what is known as user interface. If that user interface is not there, computer may be there, but how will you perform functions through the computer? It's not possible. You need a user interface. Without a UI, it is impossible, right? So that user interface is what? That is the organ, like nose, ears, etc. Now suppose, if you look at the screen and you look at the user interface, it may be Windows or whatever it is. Now, is that user interface the actual one doing the work? It is not doing the task. The task is being done by the CPU. What you are seeing on the screen is just the interface for you to interact with the CPU, right? So similarly, like the CPU is the sense, and the user interface is the organ through which this is acting. Both of them are material elements. One is subtle, one is gross. Understood? Is that okay? Any other question? Hardware and software, you can take that. That hardware is the what do you say, the sense organs. Software is the sense, actual sense. Anybody else? Any other question? So we'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai, Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.